it, this is the one 12-second video that literally encapsulates everything, in my opinion, that the trans, queer, whatever community is all about these days. Narcissism, oppression, you know. Also, don't they all look the same? But it's totally not a cult, right? Welcome back to the only non-leftist lesbian YouTube channel. Hi. I know all of your woke friends have told you to hate me, but I guarantee you if you keep watching, you will see that you agree with me on more things than not. And if you don't, you're gonna watch anyway because you're gonna be a hate viewer. So subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, obsessing over pronouns always has like a narcissistic type vibe anyway, right? Because 75% of the time when you're using somebody's pronouns, they're not even in your presence. So why are people so neurotic about it? Simple, it's control. The easiest way to manipulate people is to make them feel afraid, to make them feel obligated, to make them feel bad. Make them not know who they are. Or you could just go on and tell them that it's either good or better to have thousands of identities that have absolutely nothing to do with your inner workings of your, your soul. All of these are things that these types of people do. They either play the victim or the bully. The bully might use aggression or violent threats to try to control you, while the victim plays hurt and makes everybody else feel badly for them. They make everybody else feel guilty, feel responsible. People have become so obsessed with playing this role that they are now calling babies, literal babies, transphobic.
I've talked about the transphobic baby at work before. I went in a room with him today, and I had my wig on, which I took off now because it's like 9 o'clock at night. He didn't cry. And he was like babbling at me. And I had to look at him and like, do you like me now because we've had a moment, or do you like me now because I have long hair and look more feminine, because then you're more transphobic? And then he started to cry, so that was my answer.
Not only do these people act like children, but they're now claiming to be oppressed by them. So let me get this straight, pun not intended. The baby is transphobic because you wore a wig and then you didn't, and then the baby got like nervous because he didn't recognize you? What? Babies' brains are so basic at this age. Like, do you remember the viral videos a while back of kids like freaking out when they're seeing their dads without beards for the first time? I mean, these kids literally cried because they didn't recognize their own father.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Come here, baby.
Can you imagine being so insecure? You think literal babies are out to get you. Also, there have been studies that suggest babies can tell good behavior from evil behavior. So, suck on that! This does seem to be somewhat of a newer trend though within like the SJW woke political movement, focusing on babies and focusing on very, very young children and indoctrinating them. Like, do you remember when far left activists told us that we should be asking for consent when changing babies' diapers?
How young are some of the children you talk to?
We work from children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth.
From birth?
Yeah. Just about how to set up a culture of consent in their homes. So, I'm going to change your nappy now, is that okay? Of course the baby's not going to respond, yes mum, that's awesome, I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
Or what about this new mom teaching her baby consent?
Touch my belly button, that's my body, and I don't want you to touch it that way. Yeah, you may touch your own belly button, but I do not want my belly button to be touched, okay? No. Yes, I am in charge of my body, and you are in charge of your body, and right now I don't want my body to be touched on my belly button. Yeah, okay? So you can touch your belly button, because that's your body, but I don't want my body to be touched right now. Yes, okay? Oh, really?
I mean, a simple no would have sufficed.
How about no, Scott?
Okay, yes, obviously teaching kids about consent is fantastic. I don't know what it is, maybe it's just the way that these people are going about it that rubs me the wrong way, like pun not intended, obviously, not funny. There is an absolute insane amount of sex trafficking in the world, in the United States. Sexual abuse is still way too common in this world. 60 or 70% of my friends have been sexually abused or at least touched sexually inappropriately in their lifetime. When it comes to kids though, I feel like if you want to teach them consent at an early age, just get a cat. The kid will touch the cat and pet the cat and the cat will not want it and it will slap the out of it, and that kid will learn at a very early age, don't touch something or someone that doesn't want to be touched. So yes, obviously I do think it's really important at a very young age to teach kids that it's not important to touch other people, and it's also not okay for other people to touch you if you don't want to be touched in that way. Especially seeing how much ridiculous ideology revolves around identity, gender, sexual orientation, sexuality, and how that's being consistently targeted at kids, which is kind of what this video is about.
Pronouns are too hard. I just heard a 4-year-old ask a 5-year-old, "Are you a girl today?" 5-year-old says, "Yeah." And 4-year-old says, "Okay."
My friend Blair White said, further proof people who drive with wearing masks are nuts. Listen, you're not magically a girl one day and then a boy the next. Stop pushing this ridiculous ideology onto kids. If a boy wants to wear girl clothes or play with girls' toys, like, that's fine. It's not like there's no such thing as girl clothes and boy clothes. They're just clothes and they're just toys. Let them be kids. Let them express themselves the way they want to express themselves. Let them be kids. They are not changing genders. Do you see it? Like, do you hear how ridiculous you sound? Quick little costume and room change because I had to change hotels. I'm filming on the road. So does that mean that anyone that wears a dress is a woman? Do we ask these people their gender every hour on the hour? Every minute? You ever notice that the more the left pushes this narrative of opening up the idea of sexual orientation, sexuality, gender expression to children, the more pedophiles are being outed, the more people are being arrested for sex trafficking of minors? Listen to this. Over the past 14 years, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, has secretly amassed credible evidence that at least 10 of its employees and contractors committed sexual crimes involving children. Though most of the cases were referred to U.S. attorneys for prosecution, only one of the individuals was ever charged with a crime. Imagine how much harder it is for people like this who were abused to come forward when the authorities themselves are also creeps. Like, the people that are meant to help you are also abusive. That's terrifying. Did you know that Florida is the only state in the United States that has a passing grade with anti-child sex trafficking? According to a report by Shared Hope International and the Institute for Justice and Advocacy, the majority of states, 40 out of 50 of them, and the District of Columbia received failing grades for their anti-child and youth sex trafficking efforts. Not surprised, but disgusted nonetheless. Also, have you ever noticed when anyone on Twitter or on Facebook or even on YouTube tries to report on these sexual crimes, they're automatically banned? Their Twitters are disabled and suspended? Why are we jailing young women who kill their sex traffickers literally in self-defense? Why are we teaching kids that it's okay, and in some cases even way better, to be anything, literally anything other than what you actually are? Honestly, because there isn't any better way to make somebody grooming somebody to be a victim. Somebody who has no clue who they are, doesn't know their self-worth, and is afraid of the rest of the world and society at large. Prime target right there. Look at how many kids now are claiming to be trans, queer, non-binary, furries. This kid is 9 years old. She becomes Emily the deer, and she only feels comfortable enough to go out and play with other kids when she is literally wearing this mask when she puts her head on. This is quoted from a person that runs one of the furry cons or whatever they're called, Comic-Con type events. He said, at the convention's number of attendees who are minors has steadily increased. John K.P. Cole said, the director of communications at Anthrocon, which is a major con in the Pittsburgh area. Steadily increased over the last 10 years. I don't think that furries are inherently sexual, so I'm not even going to comment on that. My issue is the fact that these kids are on a never-ending path to victimhood mentality status. Like, just never, it's going to be never-ending for them. They're always going to find something wrong, something to complain about, something to feel oppressed about. A forever Rolodex of made-up identities, so to speak. In spirituality, we talk about ego and we say that it is the mask. Like, it is how you show yourself to the world if you don't know who you truly are. And it's interesting to me that these kids are literally wearing masks.
Furries like to wear fursuits because it's a way to step into your character and become your persona. Fursuits usually help furries become more confident about themselves, which can really help them elaborate the personality of their persona, rather than the personality of who is under the costume and the mask.
This is the issue perfectly explained by a furry himself. Let me make this clear, I don't think furries are inherently bad. I really don't. I'm simply saying that this is just one more way that people people, and especially children, are disassociating from who they really are, the inner work that they need to be, making. And let's not forget, people who don't know who they are the easiest to control and the easiest to manipulate. My friend Zeke said this on Twitter, and I think he nails it like always. He said, be careful of any party that chooses to rule by fear, whether it's fear of COVID, fear of inequality, or fear of your neighbor. Fear is used to control people. Fear is what tyrants and despots use. Don't be controlled by fear. Stand up and be fearless. We see this more and more every day, especially in education. First, it was sexuality, then it was gender, now it's critical race theory and all these other totally progressive woke ideologies. There are reports of teachers being pretty much bribed to include more critical race theory training, I'll call it, into their curriculums. It's wild. Do they deserve to be paid more for, increasing their workload? Yes, of course. Grooming and brainwashing, though, it's starting earlier and earlier these days.
So while the book is called Race Cars, it is teaching children about race wars. And that is very much, Erica, how they are bringing these big ideas into the minds of our little innocent babes.
Little children, probably more likely little boys, excited about this book about race cars, which they love and they play with all the time at home. And so in the fact that the print is so big,
right?
The innocuous part, the print is really big. And then the print about how what they're really going to learn about is white privilege is really small. And I have to think that there's been plenty of parents who have checked that book out with their kids at the library because they just assume that it's going to be appropriate for their young children.
My friend George has a brand new documentary out called Indoctrination Nation. I highly suggest you watch it. I'll include it in the link in the description below. They discuss all of this stuff.
I'm from California and I see this battle firsthand every single day. I see working class Americans like nurses, firemen, and teachers resigning over vaccine mandates. I see California parents taking their kids out of public schools over critical race theory and mask mandate. But does it have to be like this? Do Americans need to move to a different state to protect their way of life anytime the state encroaches? There is a state that look right into the eyes of these tyrannical policies. A state where American democracy is rooted, the Commonwealth of Virginia.
They have a business interest data mining our children, and what they are trying to do is silence our protest. But will we be silenced?
No! They need to be exposed.
But let's not get too upset just yet, because like this, there are a ton more good things on the horizon. I have said over and over that more and more people are waking up to the bullshit and are absolutely sick of it. I am one of those people. I have tons of friends that are as well. For example, just 2 weeks ago, The Guardian posted a Person of the Year poll. They are known for being a more progressive website over in the UK. And they asked their viewers who they think Person of the Year should be. And J.K. Rowling took the top spot, and then they deleted the poll without explanation. We love that though. New Hampshire's first safe space house for sex trafficking victims is opening up this year. Kyle Rittenhouse's lawyers are now focusing on Crystal Kaiser, who is also arguing it was self-defense when she killed her adult sexual abuser in 2018. So yes, plenty of people are starting to fight back against this ridiculous abusive behavior. And of course, I will continue to talk about it here and criticize it, critique it for you guys. So make sure you subscribe down below so you see it first. And other than that, I will see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. I hate this bullshit. I'll see you in a few days.